when there's a move that's detached from fundamentals that this can get away with you. And if you're using something like Robinhood, that's free especially. I mean, it's had outages. There are all kinds of things that could happen. Now they're shutting down the ability to do anything but close out your position if you were in these names. What should the retail investor take away from the fact that these tools, and I'll give this to Cameron, are not working the way that they expected?
Well, I think the takeaway here is it's centralized finance, and they can be throttled and deplatformed. And we've seen that firsthand. And I think a lot of this energy from Wall Street Bets is going to pour directly into decentralized finance, which is permissionless, where you can't be deplatformed.
Right. It shows all the vulnerabilities and how the system's rigged. One call to Robinhood, deplatform. One call to Discord, one call to Reddit, and it's over for the little guy. It's over for the individual investor. There's no call you can make in Bitcoin. There's no call you can make to the CEO of Ethereum. There's no such thing. And so people are seeing the permissionless nature and of these blockchains and the power of it.
So you guys talk about the little guy versus the institution, and indeed a lot of this debate is around that theme, but this is far from clean or simple. Going after hedge funds, you can inadvertently hurt pension funds or mutual funds that also serve the little guys. Robinhood now getting a lot of the backlash, and it was supposed to democratize trading, but now getting attention about their business model and paying for order flow. So how can you guys take such a strong stance at the beginning of this? And are you worried at all about the unintended consequences of taking on Wall Street and the effect on the little guys? Or is this about, building support for things like Bitcoin?
Well, look, I saw a $3 billion income redistribution from one hedge fund to the Wall Street Bets community. So, so far, it's only ending in tears for the hedge funds. And if a hedge fund can't figure out a gamma squeeze better than...
But you guys are egging this on. I mean, so far, that's where it is. But this movement is getting bigger and bigger by the day and the hour.
Professionals didn't understand the gamma squeeze as well as the individual investors. So the pension fund should just do better due diligence on those funds. And look, the short interest was bigger than the float of a small cap stock. Anyone with an internet connection or a smartphone could have figured that out. But somehow the professionals couldn't. And little guys could, and the problem is that it's going this way, not the other way, and that's why the establishment's upset, because they can't control the distributed, decentralized community of Wall Street Bets. That's what this is about, in my opinion, because I never heard the news story about the shorts on Gamestop, that these businesses, brick and mortar, that are sitting ducks during a pandemic. They can't even legally open for business and operate, and these hedge funds, these rapacious financiers are swooping down and shorting them more than the actual flow to the stock. That's the problem here. That story was never reported on. So, that's the story that fascinates me.
Well, Cameron, I mean, this happens every bubble, all right? We start to get comments like, oh, we shouldn't be allowed to short, it's un-American. My bigger question to you is, we keep throwing around the phrase little guy on these platforms that have no transparency. There's no verification that you're a little guy. You don't get a blue check mark if you're a little guy to prove that you're not part of some other more nefarious army. Do you think we're over our skis on that?
Well, I think Wall Street Bets has really been doing everything out in the open in the forum. We're never going to hear the phone call that was made to Robinhood. We don't really actually know what's going on behind the closed doors. And I think they've actually been really open about their strategy and what they're trying to do in the gamma squeeze. So I actually think they're being more transparent.
Putting today's and yesterday's price action to the side, Tyler, do you think what we're seeing right now reflects a unique moment in time or the start of a shift in how younger investors view opportunities in the market?
Look, I think this is the beginning of the end of centralized finance. I think if anyone thinks this is about just one stock or two stocks, they're mistaken. I think this is a much larger movement. I think it's a systemic issue, and I think that people need to fix it, or it's going to get much, much worse. I think this is a much larger issue in the thread of our country and its fragility and what's happening in the inequality. And frankly, the hypocrisy of the political leaders who say, you can't open your business and run your business and make a living during the pandemic. We won't pass a stimulus bill in time. And, oh, by the way, now you can't trade. You know, what's the next thing they're going to control and say you can't do? And what it really does.
Wait a minute. Who is saying all of those things? That sounds like some attempt at whipping up something populist that's not based in fact. Is there one person who is saying all of those things?
Have you tried out dining in Manhattan in January? Outdoor dining? I mean, that's
yeah.
a
But
fact.
what politician is telling people they can't trade?
Well, there's a limited number of governors. There's
Tyler,
one.
what politician is telling people they can't trade? If you've got private companies that are shutting down trading, then blame the private companies. But why are you blaming government for all those things? Be accurate.
There are political
We
leaders.
don't actually know.
Name them. Who are they? What are you talking about?
We don't know what the regulators are leaning on the different platforms, and they're clearly monitoring it. I think.
Well, if you don't know,
Biden,
then don't say you know. Like, I know it's convenient during these times when people are emotional to blame the authorities for all these things, but what are you talking about? Who's shutting down trading?
Small businesses had not been able to operate.
That's not what I asked. I didn't ask about small business operating. We've been reporting plenty on that, and different places have different rules. But you said the same people have been both limiting businesses opening and shutting down trading, like we're seeing today. That just hasn't happened.
Okay, so who made the call to Robinhood?
Was there a call made to Robinhood?
I don't know. Do you think
You
Robinhood
don't know exactly. That's all I'm saying. Go ahead.
Robinhood woke up and made the decision themselves to halt the tickers?
I don't know, but I'm not claiming to.
Okay, I didn't claim to either.
You did. You just said that the authorities are doing all of these things.
Go back to the tape. I did not say that. I said people are not allowed to trade. I don't know what the calls made, but I don't think it came from Robinhood.
Do you think that?
I think it's a fair question, and I think it's the question, given the fact that you're the journalist, you should be asking, not me.
Exactly, and I will ask, but I'm not claiming to know like you just did.
I'm not claiming to know. I'm claiming to ask, and I'm asking you, did you call
Well, then
Robinhood?
let's ask the question. Let's go ahead and do that. That's great.
You asked Robinhood the question today.
I don't have Robinhood on. I have you on. So I'm actually analyzing what you're saying.
Okay, so you haven't done your job today and emailed Robinhood and asked them why they stopped.
If I haven't done my job, then you're implying I'm wasting my time talking to you. But all I'm doing is, if you're putting a statement out there, I want to know what its basis is in fact. If there is none, your mistake, whatever, we can move on.
Okay, I think if you look at the tape, I didn't make the comment you're saying I did. What I'm saying is someone needs to ask the question to Robinhood, and it should be you. It shouldn't be me asking you on my segment.
Here, I have the statement from Robinhood. Here it is. We continuously monitor the markets and make changes where necessary. In light of recent volatility, we are restricting transactions for certain securities to position closing only. That's a statement that we have from Robinhood on the actions they've taken today.
And that sounds opaque and not the full picture.
You know, Robinhood, oftentimes companies, besides giving us a statement, will refuse to say much more than that. But I think what you're suggesting is some kind of conspiracy, right? That authorities ordered Robinhood to restrict trading in some sense. I mean, for us to sort of talk about that on air is a big deal. So I understand John's pushback.
What I'm suggesting is that on Ethereum, that could never happen, and there would be no such thing. So why did it happen in centralized finance? And we should understand that. And I've never seen a hedge fund deplatformed from Bloomberg Terminal or throttled on their prime brokerage account and pulled back on the market when they're shorting a company like Gamestop when they're making too much money. I've never seen the big guys get throttled. I only see them get bailed out.
Right.
Robinhood makes money on.
I'm also not sure.
So you're assuming that,
to be fair, we are looking at the business model, the payment for order flow, and could that be some reason behind it? And we are talking about how commission-free trading isn't exactly free, but I'm also getting a little confused about who you guys are blaming. Tyler, you just mentioned that brick and mortar are like sitting ducks, and it's hedge funds and short sellers who are going after them at this weak moment. But in that case, couldn't you blame Jeff Bezos and Amazon? Aren't they the reason that brick and mortar is declining? And then this digital transformation, I mean, where does it stop?
It's a little bit different when you're building a competing business versus you're sitting on a lot of capital and pile driving businesses with shorts. And these are the same short sellers that tried to kill Tesla and Elon Musk, who incidentally is trying to build sustainable energy and bring humanity to Mars. And they almost got him, the greatest entrepreneur of our generation. They literally almost got him multiple times. And so that's like betting against innovation, betting against prosperity, betting against America. And it's really negative. So that's a lot different than building a business that's more competitive.
It seems like
Actually customer obsessed in building a better experience. And look, the Wall Street Bets crowd, I'm sure they'd come on here if you invited them, but they never get the invitation. They never get the privilege to do that. So they said, you know what? We're going to go create our own show on Reddit, and we're going to pool our capital the same way the hedge funds pool their capital. We're going to look at the market. A hedge fund overplayed its hand. It got greedy, it overshorted, and we're going to do a gamma squeeze. We're going to do exactly what they do. So, I think that's what this is about.
I think we keep the door open. We follow the money here at CNBC. We'll leave the conversation there. Cameron and Tyler, thank you for joining us today with your views.
Thanks, guys.